we celebrate our taxpayers. And we celebrate them because the realization of our shared aspirations for a better and more prosperous Kenya for all of us is heavily dependent on the resources made available to the government by you, the taxpayers. And in that regard, I once again salute all the taxpayers who have discharged their civic duty by promptly paying their rightful tax dues. It is because of the dedicated taxpayers that our national vision is slowly becoming a reality. Your taxes fund the defenses of our borders, they fund our sovereignty, they equip our law enforcement agencies, and keep our cities and towns and villages safe. Further, they help us build roads, floating bridges, railway lines, undersea cables, schools, hospitals, and all other aspects that are driving our development agenda. Indeed, because of the taxpayers, this is why every corner of Kenya today is witnessing immense improvement in every aspect of our public life. And I want to once again say, on behalf of a grateful nation, that I thank you all our dutiful taxpayers. Ladies and gentlemen, today, I note with appreciation that over my term in office, ordinary revenue for our republic has more than doubled, rising from 707 billion in the financial year 2011-2012 to Kenya shillings 1.6 trillion in the financial year 2020-2021, representing an impressive 136% growth. But what is more encouraging is to note that at 1.669 trillion in our financial year 2020-21, the Kenya Revenue Authority defied all odds and surpassed their target with a surplus of approximately 16.8 billion shillings, representing a revenue growth of 3.9% compared to the previous financial year. This growth in revenue was achieved notwithstanding the challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic and the resultant economic truncation that arose from the containment measures which we as a government put in place. And I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that this signifies indeed the indomitable spirit of resilience that exists amongst us Kenyans. And for this reason, the board of the Kenya Revenue Authority, all their senior management, and every member of staff across all their departments should be lauded for that impressive achievement. But more so, every loyal Kenyan taxpayer who managed to do their duty despite the pressures that existed, we say thank you, and thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, as our economy reopens, we are starting to see a steady growth of our revenue performance. The tax rate reversals implemented in January of 2021 and the tax measures in the Finance Act of 2020 have continued to support revenue growth. We as an administration are today focused on building back better with a dedicated strategy for resilient, sustainable, but also equitable economic recovery, as outlined in the budget statement delivered by the Minister, Kenyatta'S, in June of this year, and with the provisions contained in our Finance Act 2021. And to that end, I wish to call on all parties to stop judicial activism and allow us to proceed with the measures that we have put in place, that have been approved by Parliament, and to allow Kenyans to be beneficiaries in this year of recovery, of improved revenue collections, and ultimately improved service delivery. Improved revenue collection is an integral part of our strategy for building back better. And towards this end, we shall spare no effort in facilitating tax reforms geared at mobilizing revenues for inclusive national development. And in that regard, all government agencies are directed to fully support KRA's operating mission as outlined in their 8th corporate plan. This corporate plan focuses on revenue mobilization through tax simplification, technology-driven compliance, and tax base expansion. When the plan is fully operationalized, the expectation is to optimize revenue collection while minimizing compliance costs and improving the competitiveness of our business and investment environment. Again, to that end, I support Ambassador Muthaura's comment that we should not consider Kenya Revenue as an authority, but rather as a service. It is a service that is being provided by you taxpayers on behalf of Kenyans, a patriotic service which we encourage you to continue performing. But ladies and gentlemen, expanding our tax base is key to bringing our nation closer to her destiny of a fair, just, inclusive, and equitable nation, as well as to fuel our nation's quest to improve infrastructure, service delivery, and access to public goods. And I say this because, as a country, the number of registered voters today stands at 19.6 million. However, the number of active individual taxpayers currently stands at only 6 million. So unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, many of us Kenyans are demanding better infrastructure, better public service, and access to public goods. But unfortunately, some of us are not willing to fund the same through registering and paying taxes. Because in paying taxes, we can truly take ownership of the governance of our nation and the actualization of our shared aspirations. And I must emphasize that to achieve the better Kenya we deserve and desire, we must all be ready and willing to reciprocate by paying our taxes on time and effectively. Each eligible taxpayer must realize that paying their fair share of taxes is not only an obligation, but it is also a true demonstration of your patriotism. I therefore encourage all those who owe taxes from previous periods to demonstrate their patriotism by honoring their obligation. And I urge all of you to take advantage of the ongoing voluntary tax disclosure program and benefit from the full waiver of interest and penalties. To date, over 393 taxpayers have applied. And through this initiative, almost 2 billion shillings have been collected. And of those 393, none is complaining of unfair treatment or victimization by the Kenya Revenue Authority. So I appeal to all, let us forget the past. Come forward, state your case, pay your taxes, bygones be bygones, and we move forward together as Kenyans. My administration will continue to implement comprehensive and dynamic measures to ease the regulatory compliance burdens. We want to make it easier to start and to operate businesses in Kenya. We want to support our youth, our women, and all persons living with disabilities through preferential access to public procurement opportunities. And further, the government will continue to avail both the supporting infrastructure as well as a stable operating environment that are all prerequisites to sustained expansion of investment by an expansion and extension of strong economic growth. And in this context, KRA has an incredible and critical role to play in our development agenda. The relationship between the taxpayer and the tax authority, as I have just said, must be one of mutual respect, continuous engagement, and fidelity to the laws of the land. As our world changes and new economic frontiers emerge, the KRA must have the ability to meet these challenges and changes and continue its mandate in a fast-changing operating environment. Ladies and gentlemen, an example of these new economic frontiers are the emerging opportunities created by our digital economy. Kenya remains committed to global engagement on the allocation of taxing rights for revenue generated through digital economic activities, and we remain a firm advocate for the all-inclusive framework that seeks to promote fair allocation of taxing rights. It should also be noted by all that Kenya is now benefiting from the Multilateral Convention on the Administrative Assistance on Tax Matters, which took effect on the 1st of January of this year. This now enables Kenyans, or Kenya as a jurisdiction, to exchange information on tax with over 130 jurisdictions in support of our fight against tax evasion and illicit financial flows. So as I conclude, I would like to emphasize that we must continue to strengthen the capacity of our tax authorities to effectively administer tax laws and enhance mobilization of revenues. And in this regard today, I direct the National Treasury and KRA to ensure the implementation of the strategic initiatives outlined by KRA in its corporate plan. We need to sustain our revenue mobilization to support our development agenda. So let us support this plan, let us work together, let us develop our country. Further, I call on the KRA to also collaborate with other agencies within our multi-agency framework to fight illicit trade and to ensure that no single cent of revenue is lost through tax evasion. Finally, as I move to present awards, I want to congratulate all the individual as well as the corporates receiving awards today for their exemplary tax compliance. You have given our nation the wings to soar into a brighter future. But even as we celebrate those in the room today and those who will be receiving awards, I must also note that today is a celebration not only of those receiving awards, but for every one of our 6 million taxpayers who have made Kenya what it is today. To each of you, hongera na asanti sana. Thank you very much. But to every taxpayer in Kenya, and to those who are avoiding or evading tax, I want to ask you to follow the example of those who are receiving awards today by promptly paying your rightful share of tax, diligently filling returns, and desisting from evasive tactics, which only undermines our ability as a nation to fund our desired better future. I conclude by saying, let each and every one of us embrace KRA's motto, tulipe ushuru, tujitegemee. Asante sana, Mungu awabariki, hongera, kongole kwa kila mmoja wenu. Asanteni sana.